Just before the election, I did a video reminding people that you aren't just voting for the president. You are voting for the people that he will appoint to his administration. Those are the people that are going to be in his ear. And I said that, I did that video to motivate people who were thinking about not voting or thinking about voting third party, because the people that the president surrounds himself with are just as important as the person who will be president themselves. And those words have never been truer as we see who Donald Trump is choosing to surround himself with. These are the people, the lunatics that he's assigned to his cabinet. These are the people who will be working as the heads of his administration. Let's go through them, shall we? First up, we have Susie Wiles. She will be the White House Chief of Staff, the first woman to ever hold that position, and she comes from the state of Florida. Yeah, she was in cahoots with Ron DeSantis. Next up, we have the vehement racist Stephen Miller. He will be the Deputy White House Chief of Staff. Yes, Stephen Miller is the one that drafted that immigration policy to separate kids from their parents down at the border during Trump's first administration. Next up, we have Representative Mike Waltz. He also comes from the state of Florida. He was also a part of Ron DeSantis's Republican Party down in the state of Florida. And that should tell you all that you need to know about him. Mike Waltz will be our national security advisor. Next up is Tom Homan. We briefly talked about him already. He will be your border czar. He also worked with Stephen Miller to draft up that immigration policy to separate parents from their children down at the border. Yes, he is. He's going to be a problem. Next up is Representative Lee Zeldin. He will be over the Environmental Protection Agency. Yeah, get ready, because all of the protections that have been put into place to protect neighborhoods, to protect us, he's getting ready to roll all of that back. Next up is Representative Elise Stefanik. She will be the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Elise Stefanik is desperate to make her mark in government. She will do whatever it is that Donald Trump wants her to do. Next up is Mike Huckabee, U.S. Ambassador to Israel. Mike Huckabee doesn't even acknowledge Palestinians. Yeah, he doesn't even, he already views Gaza as Israel's property. It's not looking good for them. Next up is Stephen Witkoff, Special Envoy to the Middle East. I've never heard of this person. No clue who he is. He's some type of real estate investor. Hint, hint, real estate investor. He's going to be over a special envoy to the Middle East. Yeah, it's not looking good for Palestine. Next up is John Ratcliffe. He's going to be your CIA director. I do believe he was a part of Donald Trump's first presidency. In what capacity, I don't know. I remember hearing his name. So I don't know how bad he is, but to be working with Donald Trump, he's got to be pretty bad. Next up is Pete Hegseth. He's the former Fox Weekend news host. He's going to be your defense secretary. What experience or skills he may hold to make him eligible for this position. I don't know, but you don't have to have experience. You don't have to have education. You don't have to have any of that to be appointed to these big time positions under Donald Trump. Yeah, they've been saying a lot about this guy. Mainly, he admitted that he didn't wash his hands for 10 years. So at the very least, he's a nasty mofo. Next up is Kristi Noem. I believe she's the governor of South Dakota. I know her from the book that she wrote where she admitted that she murdered her puppy. The puppy's name was Cricket. She murdered the puppy because the puppy was unruly. Right. Instead of taking the puppy to training, instead of accepting the puppy for who and what the puppy is, she decided to murder the puppy. And she's also rumored to have an affair with Corey Lewandowski. Mind you, she allegedly was having this affair with Corey Lewandowski while the two of them were married to other people. She's your new Homeland Security Secretary. Next up is Dan Scavino. He's going to be a Deputy White House Chief of Staff. If that name sounds familiar, it should, because he's been working with Trump for quite a while now. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida. He will be your next Secretary of State. He's most known for not working in the Senate. Yeah, he's missed several votes because he doesn't work. He doesn't do anything. But he will be your next Secretary of State. And he is in the mindset of wiping out Palestine. Remember, I said it wasn't looking too good for Palestine. Next up is Tulsi Gabbard. She will be your Director of National Intelligence. What experience does she have in the field? As far as I know, she has none. But it is rumored that she is a Russian asset. It is rumored that she and Putin go together real good. Yeah, your next Director of National Intelligence. Next up is former House Representative Matt Gaetz. He's slated to be your next Attorney General. I say former because he quit earlier this week, and he quit because he was trying to stop a report about him and his dealings with a minor, having relations with a minor. He was trying to stop a report from coming out from the Ethics Committee in the House. They're still going back and forth on whether or not that report will be released anyway. A lot of them are thinking that he will never make it past the hearings. He will never be the next Attorney General. I beg to differ. These people do what Donald Trump tells them to do. So I see Matt Gaetz as your next Attorney General, a pedophile, someone who was having relations with a minor. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's going to be your next Secretary of Health and Human Services. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's anti-vaccine. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that has a dead worm in his brain. The worm was eating on his brain. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is responsible for the deaths of children over in Samoa, several children. I believe it was 85 deaths because he got into the ear of the leaders of Samoa and they took a step back from vaccine treatments. Yeah, that's because of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So Lord have mercy. Let us pray that we don't have any type of health issues while he and Donald Trump are in office. Next up is Todd Blanche. He will be your Deputy Attorney General. I don't know much about him, so I'm guessing he was pulled from the private sector. Your next Deputy Attorney General. Next, we have Dean John Sauer. He's going to be your Solicitor General. Never heard of him before, so I'm guessing maybe he was plucked from the private sector. Yeah, but even though these people were plucked from the private sector, for them to be willing to be around and work with Donald Trump, that should tell you all that you need to know. Doug Collins, he is a former congressman here in the state of Georgia. I can't remember if he was a state representative or if he was a representative up in Washington, but he is a former congressman from the state of Georgia. He will be your next Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Yeah. North Dakota Governor Doug Berman will be your Interior Secretary. I didn't know anything about him. I learned about him when he was running for president at the very beginning. He didn't last too long. But yeah, he's going to be your Interior Secretary. And that is all for now. I'm clear that I didn't mention the name Step and Fetch Tim Scott and Step and Fetch Byron Donalds. Maybe he's going to fill more positions, but I'm clear that Step and Fetch Byron Donalds and Step and Fetch Tim Scott are a afterthought, like way, way, way after. And I love this for them. But all of these people are not good people. All of them. They are not good people. And we must resist.